In a distant star system on a barren planet ravaged by war, a peculiar sight caught Captain James Walker's eye as he surveyed the ruins of an alien city. Amidst the rubble and debris, he spotted a tiny figure with blue skin mottled with white speckles and a shock of pure white hair. It was a young alien child, clearly lost and alone. As he approached cautiously, his heart sank at the sight of her emaciated frame. She couldn't have been more than 5 Earth years old. Her large, luminous eyes, a striking violet hue, met his gaze with a mix of fear and desperate hope. "Hey there, little one," James said softly, kneeling down to her level. "Don't be afraid. I'm here to help." The child tilted her head, clearly not understanding his words, but sensing his gentle tone. James reached into his pack and pulled out a nutrient bar. He unwrapped it and held it out to her. Tentatively, she reached out and snatched it from his hand, devouring it in mere seconds. James's heart broke as he realized the depths of her hunger. This poor child, orphaned and left to fend for herself in the aftermath of a brutal conflict. He couldn't just leave her here to starve. "Come on, let's get you somewhere safe," he said, extending his hand. The girl hesitated for a moment before placing her tiny blue hand in his, her skin cool to the touch. As James led her back to his ship, he couldn't help but marvel at the strange twists of fate that had brought them together. He, a battle-hardened soldier, and she, an orphaned alien child. 2 lonely souls in a vast, unforgiving universe. On board his ship, James set about tending to the child's immediate needs. He provided her with food and water, marveling at her voracious appetite. Using the ship's medical scanner, he confirmed she was a member of the Empyrean race, a species known for their resilience and adaptability. "Looks like it's just you and me now, little blue," James said, watching as the child explored the ship's interior with wide-eyed curiosity. "I promise I'll take care of you. We'll figure this out together." And so began an unlikely partnership, a grizzled human soldier and a blue-skinned, white-speckled alien girl, both orphaned by the cruelties of war. James knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he was determined to give this child a chance at a better life. As the ship lifted off, leaving the war-torn planet behind, James couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this was his chance for redemption, a way to atone for the sins of his past. And for the little alien girl, it was a chance at a new beginning, a family to call her own. Their journey together had only just begun, but already the bonds of love and loyalty were forming. In the vastness of space, they had found each other, 2 lost souls united by the strange machinations of destiny. And together, they would face whatever challenges the universe saw fit to throw their way. As the ship hurtled through the void of space, James found himself growing increasingly attached to his young charge. He'd never been one for sentimentality, but there was something about the little alien girl that tugged at his heartstrings. He watched as she explored the ship with boundless curiosity, her white hair bobbing as she darted from one room to another. Despite the hardships she'd endured, there was a spark of resilience in her violet eyes, a determination to survive and thrive. James set about creating a makeshift living space for her, converting one of the ship's spare rooms into a cozy bedroom. He replicated some child-sized clothing and a few soft toys, hoping to provide her with a sense of comfort and normalcy. As the days turned into weeks, James and the child fell into a comfortable routine. He taught her basic English words, and she picked up the language with astonishing speed. Soon they were able to communicate in simple sentences, bridging the gap between their worlds. "What's your name, little one?" James asked one evening as they sat together in the ship's galley, sharing a meal of replicated stew. The child looked up at him, her violet eyes wide. "Amaya," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. James smiled. "Amaya, that's a beautiful name." Amaya beamed at the praise, her blue skin flushing a deeper shade of indigo. James felt a surge of affection for the little girl, a fierce protectiveness that caught him off guard. As they traveled through the stars, James began to teach Amaya about the wonders of the universe. He showed her the shimmering nebulae, the swirling galaxies, and the countless worlds that dotted the cosmic landscape. Amaya drank in the knowledge like a sponge, her eyes wide with wonder and awe. But even as they bonded, James knew that he couldn't keep Amaya with him forever. He was a soldier, not a father, and his life was far too dangerous for a child. He needed to find her a proper home, a family that could give her the love and stability she deserved. And so, with a heavy heart, James set a course for the nearest space station, determined to find Amaya a new family. He spent hours poring over databases, searching for the perfect match, a couple who would cherish and protect her as their own. When they finally docked at the station, James took Amaya by the hand and led her through the bustling crowds. He tried to ignore the ache in his chest, the sense of impending loss that threatened to overwhelm him. As they approached the adoption agency, Amaya looked up at him with trusting eyes. "James, are you going to be my daddy now?" she asked innocently. James felt a lump form in his throat. He knelt down and took her tiny hands in his own. "Amaya, I wish I could be your daddy, but I have a dangerous job, and I can't give you the life you deserve. I'm going to find you a new family, people who will love you and keep you safe." Amaya's lower lip trembled, and James felt his heart shatter into a million pieces. He pulled her into a tight hug, fighting back the tears that threatened to fall. "I'll always be here for you, Amaya," he whispered. "No matter what happens, you'll always have a place in my heart." But as James moved a step through the doors of the adoption agency, Amaya clung to his hand, her tiny fingers gripping his with surprising strength. "No, James," she cried, her violet eyes brimming with tears. "I don't want anyone else to be my daddy. I want to stay with you." James froze, his heart racing as he looked down at the little girl who had come to mean so much to him. "Amaya, he began, but she cut him off, her voice filled with a fierce determination that belied her young age. "You're the only one who can give me a better childhood," she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Even if it's difficult or dangerous, I want to be with you. Please, James, don't leave me." James felt a wave of emotion wash over him, a mix of love, fear, and overwhelming responsibility. He knew that taking on the role of Amaya's father would be the most challenging mission of his life, fraught with danger and uncertainty. But as he looked into her pleading eyes, he knew that he could never abandon her. She had become a part of him, a light in the darkness of his world, and he would move heaven and earth to keep her safe. With a shaky breath, James knelt down and gathered Amaya into his arms, holding her close as she clung to him like a lifeline. "Okay, little one," he whispered, his voice rough with emotion. "We'll stay together. I promise I'll always be here for you no matter what." Amaya buried her face in his neck, her tears soaking into his shirt. "I love you, James," she murmured, her voice muffled against his skin. "I love you too, Amaya," James replied, his heart swelling with a love he had never known before, more than anything in the universe. And with those words, James rose to his feet, Amaya's hand clasped tightly in his own. Together they turned away from the adoption agency and stepped out into the bustling space station, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. They were no longer just a soldier and an orphaned alien child, but a family, bound by love and a fierce determination to protect one another. And as they walked hand in hand through the crowds, James knew that he had finally found his true calling, to be the father that Amaya deserved, and to give her the love and safety that had been so cruelly denied her. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but with Amaya by his side, James knew that he could face anything the universe threw their way. As James and Amaya walked hand in hand through the bustling space station, a new sense of purpose filled James's heart. He knew that taking on the role of Amaya's father would be the most challenging and rewarding mission of his life, and he was determined to give her the love and stability she deserved. Their first stop was to gather supplies for their journey. James used his military credentials to secure a larger ship, one with enough space for Amaya to grow and thrive. He stocked up on food, clothing, and educational materials, determined to provide her with every opportunity to learn and flourish. As they settled into their new home among the stars, James began to teach Amaya about the universe around them. He showed her how to navigate by the stars, how to identify different species of alien flora and fauna, and how to repair and maintain the ship's systems. Amaya proved to be an eager and quick learner, her bright mind absorbing knowledge like a sponge. She delighted in each new discovery, her violet eyes sparkling with wonder and curiosity. But even as they fell into a comfortable routine, James knew that the universe was a dangerous place. He had made many enemies over the years, and he feared that his past might one day catch up with them. His fears were realized when one day a distress signal came through on the ship's communication system. A nearby colony was under attack by a ruthless band of space pirates, and they were calling for help. James hesitated, torn between his desire to keep Amaya safe and his duty to protect the innocent. But when he looked into Amaya's eyes, he saw a fierce determination that matched his own. "We have to help them, James," she said, her voice steady and sure. "It's the right thing to do." James felt a surge of pride and love for his brave little girl. He knew that she was right and that he could not turn his back on those in need. Together, they set a course for the besieged colony, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. As they approached the planet, they saw the pirate ships circling like vultures. Their weapons trained on the defenseless settlement below. James felt a familiar rush of adrenaline as he prepared for battle. He knew that he would have to use all of his skills and cunning to keep Amaya safe and defeat the pirates. But as he looked over at his daughter, he saw a steely resolve in her eyes that took his breath away. She may have been small, but she had the heart of a warrior, and he knew that together they could overcome any obstacle. With a fierce battle cry, James launched their ship into the fray, his weapons blazing as he fought to protect the innocent and defend his family. Amaya manned the ship's defenses, her quick reflexes and sharp mind proving invaluable in the heat of battle. Together they fought with all their might, their bond as father and daughter giving them strength and courage beyond measure. And when the dust settled and the pirates lay defeated at their feet, James gathered Amaya into his arms, his heart swelling with pride and love. "You were amazing, little one," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I'm so proud of you." Amaya beamed up at him, her violet eyes shining with love and admiration. "We make a good team, don't we, Dad?" she said, her voice filled with warmth and affection. James felt a lump form in his throat at the sound of that precious word. "The best team in the universe," he replied, his heart overflowing with joy and gratitude for the incredible little girl who had become his whole world. And as they set off into the stars once more, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring, James knew that he had finally found his true purpose in life, to be the father that Amaya deserved, and to love and protect her with every fiber of his being. Years passed, and Amaya grew into a strong, intelligent, and compassionate young woman. Under James's guidance and love, she had blossomed like a rare flower, her unique abilities and kind heart making her a force for good in the universe. Together, they had faced countless challenges and adventures, their bond as father and daughter growing stronger with each passing day. They had become a legend among the stars, known far and wide as the fearless duo who stood up for the weak and oppressed, and who never backed down from a fight. But even as they reveled in their shared purpose, James knew that there was one final challenge they had to face: the truth about Amaya's past. He had always known that Amaya was special, that her blue skin and white speckled hair set her apart from any other species he had encountered. And as she grew older, her unique abilities began to manifest in ways that defied explanation. She could communicate with animals and plants, her gentle touch soothing even the most agitated creatures. She could sense the emotions of those around her, her empathetic nature allowing her to offer comfort and guidance to those in need. And when she was angry or frightened, her skin would glow with an otherworldly light, a shimmering aura that seemed to pulse with power and energy. James had always suspected that there was more to Amaya's story than he knew, and as she approached adulthood, he knew that it was time to seek answers. "Amaya," James said one evening, as they sat together in the ship's observation deck, gazing out at the stars, "there's something I've been meaning to talk to you about." Amaya turned to him, her violet eyes filled with curiosity. "What is it, Dad?" James took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "I've always known that you were special, Amaya. Your abilities, your connection to the world around you, it's unlike anything I've ever seen, and I think it's time we found out why." Amaya's eyes widened, a mix of excitement and trepidation flickering across her face. "What do you mean?" "I mean that it's time for us to uncover the truth about your past, about where you came from and who your people were. I've been doing some research and I think I've found a lead." Amaya leaned forward, her heart racing with anticipation. "Tell me everything." Together they set out on a quest to uncover the truth about Amaya's origins, following a trail of clues and whispers that led them to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Their journey was fraught with danger and uncertainty as they faced hostile alien races, treacherous space anomalies, and the ever-present threat of those who sought to exploit Amaya's powers for their own gain. But through it all, James and Amaya's love for each other never wavered. They were a team, a family, and nothing could tear them apart. Finally, after months of searching, they found themselves on a remote, uncharted planet, standing before a crumbling temple that seemed to pulse with an ancient, otherworldly energy. As they stepped inside, Amaya's skin began to glow with a blinding light, her eyes shining with a wisdom and power that seemed to transcend time and space. "Dad, what's happening to me?" Amaya whispered, her voice trembling with awe and fear. James placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his own heart pounding with anticipation. "I think we're about to find out, little one." And there in the heart of the temple, they found the truth they had been seeking. Amaya was the last of her kind, a descendant of an ancient race of empaths and healers who had once been the guardians of the galaxy. Her people had been wiped out by a great cataclysm, their powers and knowledge lost to the ages. But Amaya had survived, sent out into the universe as a tiny child, her destiny waiting to be fulfilled. As the truth washed over them, James felt a sense of awe and humility. He had always known that Amaya was special, but he had never imagined the true scope of her powers and purpose. "Amaya, do you understand what this means?" James asked, his voice thick with emotion. "You have a great destiny ahead of you, a purpose that goes beyond anything we could have imagined." Amaya looked up at him, her eyes shining with determination and love. "I understand, Dad, and I'm ready to face whatever comes next as long as you're by my side." James pulled her into a tight embrace, his heart swelling with pride and love. "Always, little one. We're in this together, no matter what." And so, with renewed purpose and determination, James and Amaya set out once more, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. They were no longer just a father and daughter, but a force for good, a beacon of hope in a universe that desperately needed their light. As they walked hand in hand out of the temple and into the unknown, James knew that he had been blessed beyond measure. For he had not just found a daughter, but a true partner and equal, a shining star that would guide him through the darkest of nights and the brightest of days. "Dad," Amaya said, her voice filled with love and gratitude. "Thank you for always believing in me, for being my guiding light." James smiled down at her, his heart overflowing with emotion. "It's been my honor and privilege, Amaya, and I know that together we can face anything the universe throws our way. And together they would face the future with love, courage, and an unshakable belief in the power of the human spirit to overcome any obstacle and achieve any dream."